A pleasant good evening and welcome to SAT TV's Channel 9 Evening News. I am your presenter, Larry Larrock. Thank you for joining us. Among the major developments, Despo resident says pilot making false promises to fix roads. Men arrested in Bahamas over boating tragedy. Egypt's military grants itself sweeping powers. Former Woodward Island's middle order batsman Kirsten Kazimi shines for tremors. Details of these and other stories after the break. Thank you for staying with us. Now for the details of the news. Fathers are being urged to be active role models in society, as it is essential to also create strong bonds with their children to raise them in a proper way, so in turn they will walk on a straight path of life. This message came from President of Carriman, Mr. Thomas Holmes, at a Father's Day activity held on Friday, June 15th at the Public Service Union. Mr. Holmes stated that a young man needs to be held accountable for his actions.
We are not only targeting men who are working, but we are also looking at the young men and the boys who are at school. We want to start from a very small age. Very often we target our target population the people who are working, or the grown-ups, the adults. But we have to realize that it all begins at a very, very young age. And that is why it is so important that we start from early childhood education. I was talking to a mother this morning and I said to her, not only early childhood, but it also has to do with the mother who is pregnant.
Mr. Holmes says that it is very important that men show leadership skills and work hand in hand with women to build positive figures in society and to also secure a better future for the leaders of tomorrow. 6 fathers were honored at the event and were given food hampers, which included Mr. Dorian Parkett, Mr. Roman Roberts, Mr. Bonty Liverpool, and Mr. Jerome Robinson, amongst others. Mr. Dorian Parkett, who is an entrepreneur from the community of Maho, who resides in Kenfield, says, even when you are separated from the mother of your children, life goes on.
The children is part of us. And we can't just walk away and the children, okay, we love somebody and it's over and we're punishing the children just because of the woman. We have to realize this is part of us. And no matter what we go through, we have to love our children. And I decide, no matter what I go through, but this is my children. And I decide to take my role and I don't care. I will fight it from to see my children to do the best that I want them to be today. And I feel proud today with me. I have my girl 12 years and my son.
Mr. Packett went on to say that all men need to play their roles as fathers in the best way that they can. Mr. Roman Roberts, who is a tailor from Mau and has 6 children, says he went through life struggle and being in prison taught him a lot of things, such as the profession he's currently doing now.
I learned the tailoring in the prison. I usually tell people when I was not in prison, when I was in college, because I used it as a form of education, where I came out from the prison with a diploma of dressmaking, designing, and what many things. Upholstery, makeup, I can design your home. I can do a lot of things, guys, and that out there. Thank God for that.
He says that he will never forget how instrumental Mr. Algernon Charter was in his growth and development in prison, seeing that he came out a new man. The other fathers also gave their testimonies on their life struggle, while advising the young people on the importance of following the right path in life and always making God present in their lives. The fathers and other persons present played dominoes and other games, and the event came to a close with a performance from the Legacy Band, which is made up of students from the Goodwill Secondary School. Here is a clip of the band's performance. Year professionals around the island are getting an opportunity to receive hands-on training on techniques and strategies used to enhance their year care professional skills. The Dominica Cosmetology Association is putting on a workshop for the professionals at Suzette Beauty Salon on Virgin Lane from June 18th to 22nd. Ms. Margaret Fletcher Julian, a cosmetology educator, is conducting the workshop. She sees the hair industry as one of the fastest growing industries in the world.
It is very important to marry skills with attitude, and we are all responsible for where our businesses are today. So what I would like is that on Thursday, the end of our 4-day training, I would have been able to motivate and energize the participants to go back to their businesses and be more positive about themselves personally. And then if that happens, then the business becomes better.
Ms. Fletcher Julian has been in the business for over 42 years and wants to share experience and address the specific needs of the participants. Topics to be covered at the workshop are hair and scalp analysis, difference between texturing and relaxing. She is also here to introduce a new product that will change the industry.
It is a completely natural form of relaxing hair. Natural hair, which allows you to have the versatility of wearing your hair straight or wearing your hair like yours is, twisted if you keep it natural. It's all the ingredients from this product I got from the Amazon forest, and it's called Cysteine Complex.
Jemmis Mills, one of the participants at the workshop, is excited to learn all that she can about hair.
I'd like to go back with all the expertise that I'm going to gain from here and from Miss Margaret Fletcher. I'd like to be able to deal with my customers' hair in the correct way.
On Wednesday, June 20th, they will be conducting the session on Cysteine Complex. President of the West Indies Cricket Board, Dr. Julian Hunt, has hailed Billy Doctrove as an outstanding servant of West Indies cricket and one of the leading regional umpires. The Dominican-born Mr. Doctrove announced his retirement from the ICC Empiriate Elite Panel last week. President Hunt stated, and I quote, "It is with great mixture of regret and pride that I offer best wishes and sincere gratitude and thanks to Mr. Billy Doctrove on his retirement from the international cricket arena in umpiring." End quote. Mr. Hunt also added, Mr. Doctrove has been an outstanding and faithful servant of West Indies and world cricket for 14 years, and we will be the poorer for his decision to now serve from the sidelines. The President also says he wishes the very best to Mr. Doctrove during his retirement and looks forward to his contribution in other areas. The WICB will now examine how best to suitably honor Mr. Doctrove for his service to the game and how he can contribute to the development of young umpires who can emulate him and Steve Buckner, who was the trailblazer. The 56-year-old Mr. Billy Doctrove, also a FIFA-accredited referee, stood in 38 tests, 112 one-day internationals, and 17 2020 internationals. He officiated in the final game of the ICC World Cup 2020 in 2010 in Barbados. The Players Pavilion at the newest international venue in the Caribbean, the Windsor Park Sports Stadium, was named after Mr. Billy Doctrove. Dominican fathers are being urged to take more interest in the lives of their children and recognize the role that they need to play in the family structure. According to Inspector Weeks, a father should not be a sperm donor. Mr. Weeks believes it takes more than conception and fertilization to be called a father, and the title needs to be earned.
A father, and those fathers who are looking at us, or potential fathers, cannot be a sperm donor. If you think that you are a man and you think that you should be a father and it's with you just to impregnate a woman, and she gets pregnant and she bears the child, boy or girl, as it were, and your mission is ended there, indeed you make a sad mistake. And hence the meaning a man who has continuous care of a child.
He says a father should be able to play multiple roles such as doctor, counselor, best friend, and more to ensure that the child grows up well.
My perspective would definitely be a figure, of course a male figure, as ordained by the Lord Jesus Christ, to be the king, the priest, the prophet, the counselor, and so many other nomenclatures, many other titles of the whole. And I would add that the fruits of the Spirit, as you would find in the Bible in Galatians 5:20-27, the fruits of the Spirit must be deeply rooted or entrenched in Him to effectively exercise that role responsibility.
Mr. Wick says that many get confused and believes that women may be taking over, which he strongly disagrees. He mentioned that the men in Dominica need to accept their responsibilities and not walk away from them.
The question is, Joseph, as we are dissecting it, is where are our men? Where are our fathers? I continue to minister the word around Dominica, and I've always said that one of the many reasons, I believe in my view, or perhaps one of the fundamental reasons, why women, most times say, oh, women are taking over. I beg to differ. Women aren't taking over at all.
Mr. Wick says if fathers took up their roles, it could have been a positive impact on the youth. He thinks that the defiant behavior is a result of the lack of fathers' touch and comfort. A villager of Despot says enough is enough and it is time that something to fix the road in a community. This cry for help came from Miss Bernadette Esprit, who has been speaking about the road condition for a long time now, but her cries have gone unheeded. She says that her encounters have included discussions with Parliamentary Representative Honorable Reuben Blackmore. The school children are being inconvenienced when it is raining, and recently, because of the road condition, the ambulance encountered difficulty in reaching someone who needed help, said Mrs. Esprit. The contracted bus driver has refused to travel down the village to pick up and drop off school students as a result of the road conditions. She says when it is raining, the students get wet while trying to get to the bus so they can get to school, which should not be so at all. She added that the other villagers complain among themselves about the road issue and other issues, but they are never willing to voice their concerns on a public level, and she is always the one to do so. Repairs have been done in patches, but this is far from what is required at this time, and there needs to be a total overhauling of this prime access facility, she added. A promise by Parliamentary Representative Honorable Reuben Blackmore to have Prime Minister Honorable Roosevelt Skerrit visit the area is yet to materialize. The concerned villagers says she is pleading, urging and begging for Mr. Blackmore, the Prime Minister Honorable Roosevelt Skerrit, to come to Despot to see the deplorable condition of the road so they can see what needs to be done to fix the road, which is badly needed. We now join Nisha Charles for a report on OECS Day.
We're here at the Spices Center for the OECS Day Open Day.
As part of OECS Day this year, the parents of the Spices Center have collaborated to present an open day on the OECS countries. Featured guests at the event were His Excellency the President, Dr. Nicholas Liverpool, and Mrs. Verna Liverpool. Constance Norris, proprietor of the Spices Center, says for the past 4 years, preschools around the island have been observing OECS Day.
And this year, what we did, we grouped the families of the Spices Center into 9 groups, which represent the 9 OECS countries, and they all had to do 3 things in a very creative way. They had to do the island of the OECS, one of the islands. They had to do the flag and something of significance from the OECS islands.
There were 3 areas of interest: the map, the flag, and something of interest. In some instances, they choose the music festival or the beach or their points of interest. Parent of one of the students, Kermit Robinson, says it was a collaborative effort of 3 families to depict their portrayal of Dominica.
We did the map, we did the flag, and we did the boiling lake as one of the special areas in Dominica. With the map, well, you can see what the map is made of, the colors, the parrot, and Dominica, which I boast. What you see here is the 70,000 people on the map.
The students sang 2 songs for the president and his wife. They also presented with flowers.
This is Nisha Charles reporting for SAT TV News. Back to you, Larry.
Thank you, Nisha, for that report. Malcolm Stephen and Sons made a generous donation to the Education Trust Fund in the amount of $5,000 on Monday, June 18th. According to one of the company representatives, Ms. Stacy Raphael, every child deserves an opportunity to have an education.
I'm Stacy Raphael, a representative of Malcolm Stephen & Sons Ltd. And we are here to present a check to the Education Trust Fund because we believe that education is important and that every child deserves an opportunity to a good education. And this year we are happy to partner with the Education Trust Fund.
Chairperson of the Children Trust Fund, Mr. Willie Fevrier, says the Trust Fund has received help from many private sectors in the past and is very pleased that Malcolm Stevens and Sons has come aboard. Mr. Fevrier also mentioned that in the last radio fund held, $15,000 was raised and he is grateful for that. He says the government gives a standard sum of money to the Education Trust Fund yearly, which is substantial. However, most goals are not met.
I note that the representative used the word partner, and I'm very glad that she used this word because we are happy to have you, Malcolm Stevens, as a partner in the work of the Education Trust Fund. I would want to say that we have had very good support from the private sector, and this is another demonstration of the involvement of the private sector in helping disadvantaged students to access secondary school.
Minister of Education, Mr. Peter Seja, says, "We have a number of students with limited resources, which can be frustrating for the teachers, parents, and the students." Mr. Seja believes when organizations such as Malcolm Stevens and Sons come aboard, it helps the Ministry of Education to achieve their goals.
One will recognize that from 1981, the Education Trust Fund was instituted to facilitate and provide support for disadvantaged students around the island. And of course, it is an established fact that we have a number of students across the island who are limited in various respects. Some of them have difficulty, the parents have difficulty in providing textbooks for them. In other cases, it is uniforms and of course, examination fees. And the trust fund has been that safety net that is addressing this issue.
He says this helps to ensure that Dominican children are taken care of when their parents fall short.
Every year we have a radiothon where we seek to raise the requisite financial resources to finance the operation of the trust fund. But over the years, we have been experiencing limited success. Therefore, when organizations, agencies, cooperative citizens like Malcolm Stevens and Son come on board and support the trust fund, we are able to achieve our goal as set by the Ministry of Education of providing quality education for every Dominican child, because fundamentally we believe that it is the right of every child to receive a quality education. And so we want to thank Malcolm Stevens for this timely intervention.
In addition, he says Dominicans can use this as a catalyst to support Malcolm Stevens and Sons. This has been the local segment of the news. Coming up next, regional highlights.